What's a scary skill you have? Please like and subscribe to support this channel. By utilizing your darkest and deepest feelings, traumatized continually because you unaware of slipping about your weakness and fears, I confront you with all that and you're now in the corner crying to stop or panicking, or mental breakdown of losing your shit and never recover because I'm laughing and I'm cleverly throwing unlimited of scenarios into your head by using your words of expressions, the body language you're giving, all the personal information you have shared in days past and if accessible, encourage you to confront your fear by touching items, etc. It's not bully, it is called facing your fears and confront them by breathing mindfully and pacing yourself. Not a bad guy lol. Going off track in the wilderness for hours at a time. In the Australian wilderness, even at night. But look, all the dangerous critters are scared to death of you, and once you get the hang of it, it's a lot of fun. It's also very unlikely some mad, murdering killer will be waiting for you because not many people come by that often, so they'd waiting a long time for a victim. It's more likely you'll find someone dumping a body, not that I have, but I'm just saying that is way more likely than a mad killer sitting in the hot Australian sun all day, off the track, waiting for a victim to wander on by. I can catch anything thrown at me even if I'm not directly looking at the item thrown or there is no warning. Someone will throw something at me, and I'll be looking in the opposite direction. I won't even know someone has thrown something until I look in my hands and see I've caught an object. Everyone in my immediate family thinks it's hilarious, so I'll often have small pieces of food or objects like pens thrown at me just because they want to see me catch them effortlessly. I played a lot of catch and handball as a kid, so maybe that contributes to it. I'm a natural ringleader and bad influence. It took me a long time to learn the skills of how to lead an effective group in accomplishing positive goals, but from a very young age I have been able to convince normally honest people to join in on a ridiculous list of crimes. At most, they needed a primer lesson in their role and a pep talk. Much easier but still always surprising to me. People also used to just willingly take any substance I handed them, generally without question. I can't tell you how many times I gave a random stranger their first experience with something, and they didn't know it was their first time until 5 minutes later when they came running up to frantically ask what they had just taken. Nowadays I just encourage drunken mischief at festivals, and I reserve my pep talks for people that need a positive influence. I still inadvertently get people to slack off when I don't mean to. Joking around and talking just comes to me naturally when I'm working hard. I can do both. I guess a lot of people can't. I can manipulate people very easily. I have never done so maliciously, but due to intense social anxiety, AVPD, I am hyperaware of how people will react to what I say, and I tend to rehearse conversations with people I expect to socialize with so as to not offend them or make a bad impression. I'd say around 90% of the time the conversations and scenarios go exactly as I orchestrated them too. Not proud of this at all. Whenever people tell me that I have good vibes or a approachable demeanor, I cringe and die inside. I'm a seasoned writer for sadistic short stories with an emphasis on impact that include content such as greater than execution, rape, necrophilia, mutilation, and several other things in that realm. I've been inspired to design a number of apparatuses for context, and recently considered purchasing the necessary tools to begin building them and marketing them as bondage gear. I've got 3. 1. Moving quickly and quietly. I may be a tall guy, but I live on the 2nd floor and don't like making a ton of noise. 2. Sleeping very still. No snoring, no big breaths, and no movement. At least 4 different people, including my mom, thought I was dead while sleeping. 3. Apparently cracking my neck. I don't meet a lot of people who can do that, so they're usually surprised to see and hear my neck cracking. Well, let's just say I'm not the only one who does some of these, but here's a few, not so very completely scary but almost mastered abilities of mine. Lol. 1. I recognize people's footsteps when they're close to my door or how they open doors, so I know who's coming towards me, and I know how fast they want, so how long I have, like, if I have time to save the game, which usually I don't. 2. I usually, when I play online, completely different people, the kind of moves they use, like, if they sprint and then jump, or if they sprint and jump, they're usually either trying to get the hell away, or just running around, or it could just be them just doing nothing, and if they jump into a 360 and do emotes, well, they're usually stupid people or just people one in the mess around. In the same category, when I'm spectating and I'm watching around the other person, that's when I do best because I can move around the eyes beyond and backwards. My friends call me Eagle, it just stuck. For a little context, me and my friends, three of us, one of us is like the going and kill melee or just all out guns, and my other friend is just stay back and wait for them to come to you. 3. Not exactly scary, but if I look at someone and I see them do a certain look or a certain turn around, I can tell if they're mad or they're just sad, something like that, usually by the tone of their voice as well. Or just if they say it, you can just feel this stuff. 4. If you're a 360 fanboy, like me, then you'll understand the time where the people that played Halo well, when they send you a message on Halo saying, "My friend works for Halo, if you tell me your password I can get you such and such." I could tell if they were that person just by their freaking gamer tag. Usually it would be like XXG at M0RZ_3XX5, and I can just tell if in the days it's going to be a horrible unwanted day just by the way I get up. Usually I'm right, but I'm pretty sure it's because of the saying, if you get up wanting to have a good day then you'll get it, if you get wanting to have a bad day you'll get it. Boot, I don't believe in that, except it's been proved inside my head multiple times. 6. I overthink things way too much, just like this question on this platform named Reddit, the site full of virgins and people who just are socially awkward. No freaking duh, yes me too. I have a feeling that the Hobbit fans and the Star Wars fans are literally all in this site. The people who are horribly looked down upon, where if you were introvert you would be called out instantly and put right out onto a platter of uncomfortableness. This might sound weird. I have been told by many people, guys and girls both, that I have a resting seductive face. I guess my face relaxes a lot, and I also get bedroom eyes, especially when I'm listening to you talk, that it can give a slightly aroused look. The reason it can be scary is because it could unintentionally make someone feel one way and send a wrong message. I try to be mindful of that, but it hasn't been easy. I know how to stab you without you feeling it, but as soon as you sit down, lie down or remove an article of clothing you'll bleed to death, depending on the method. Although it takes a lot of work and closeness to put it into action and doesn't work well on fat people. Theoretically. I haven't tried it, but know how to do it. I'm also creepy good at tracking down people in my friends' lives that are harming them and getting remote revenge on my friends' behalf. I bought some of those "send awful thing to your enemies" services and sent M to a doctor I tracked down because the doctor showed unprofessional conduct when dealing with my friend, a patient. I also tracked down a friend's landlord who was evicting them with no notice. Powerful guy. It'd take more than some unpleasant mail to get to him. I went the blackmail route, but the bitch's record is clean, he's just an asshole. Disappointing. The ability to formulate a plan for ass covering in an instant with sufficient stress, adrenaline. As an example, in high school my friend forgot his picture ID and they wouldn't let him leave the lunchroom without signing out with his ID. It was a private school, strict rules. He looked a bit like I did, and the system they used had you put your card into a slotted wooden holder facing you asterisk and away from the lunch monitor. Given this was the busiest lunch block, we figured it would be low risk for him to use my ID, so we took the chance and used mine. Well, naturally we got one of the strict lunch monitors that makes you show her your ID before signing out, and that put us both in deep shit in an instant. Luckily they sent him over to get me rather than walking over with him, which gave me the ability to figure out a cover story. My plan was to just push the plausible explanation that during a previous lunch period we had accidentally grabbed the wrong IDs when coming back, since we both looked alike and ended up with each other's IDs. Knowing the first thing they would do is put that theory to the test by having me show them the ID I had on me to see if it was actually my friend's, I instinctively took my wallet out of my back pocket and buried it deep in my mess of a backpack to create a cover that I forgot to bring my wallet that day and thus prevent them from being able to confirm or deny the swap. Luckily the lunch monitors had no line of sight to my table, so I was able to do that discreetly. The only counter-argument they came up with was wondering how we wouldn't have noticed we had the wrong IDs, and the answer was easy. Since it was Monday, we must have accidentally swapped them on Friday and would have had no need for the IDs all weekend. And frankly, we didn't need those IDs for anything other than signing out from lunch anyway, so it's entirely plausible that if people did swap IDs, they might not realize it for several days. This worked beautifully and they let us off the hook. I have football coach mode. I can go from chilled out hippie guy to Texas HS football coach. I spent a lot of effort making my persona a giant teddy bear, to intentionally counter my physical size. When I flip to coach mode, people realize how big I am and how I can boom my voice. That and being much more stealthy than people assume for a big guy. I've scared the living shit out of kids I've caught doing stupid shit. It was always fun when friends from college would see me coach on a Friday night. Who the fuck was that on the sideline? I'm putting kids in real danger. I don't have any chill in that situation. Quote. I have the ability to sometimes fade out of people's existence that I'm there altogether. It's funny when it's just, oh, wow, you snuck up on me, when I made no effort to do so, but mine is worse. It can become so depressing when they forget they're talking to me mid-conversation and all of a sudden they ask me to hold on, but then I'm left hanging. When I ask them what it was they were gonna say, they start over on some long explanation, or they might even forget entirely what we were talking about with me. This isn't just family, but good friends. It's not fun, being the equivalent of a random daily thought. Predicting someone's future based on their behavioral patterns. At first I thought it was just a coincidence, but since it has happened with 4 different people now it kinda freaks me out. And I don't mean saying vague stuff like, your current relationship will end soon, but more like specific details on how things will go down step by step. I usually tell them this, they ignore me and call me crazy because that stuff would never happen, then days, weeks or months later it happens exactly as I described it would. I periodically live in a world where I want people to prove me wrong because me being right would be a negative thing in said situations. So far nobody has ever proven me wrong in this area.